if you are in the W-2 world, you still need leadership skills. You still need budgeting. You're still a CFO. You still need to know how to market yourself. You still need to know communication skills. You still need to know negotiation skills. These are all the skills that comprise sales skills, all the skills that comprise what an entrepreneur does. Hello and welcome to the Julia and Gino podcast. My name is Gino Barbaro, one of the co-founders of Barbaro 360, where our mission is to change the world one family at a time. And I am joined by my co-host, Julia Barbaro.
Hey, Gino.
How are you doing, baby?
I'm amazing, as usual.
Are you ready for the podcast?
I am. I'm excited for this.
Good.
For sure.
Krystal Popov is the owner of Futurpreneur and a passionate advocate for empowering kids and teens to become entrepreneurs. A mother of three, she believes young people have immense potential to start businesses, but often lack the guidance to do so. After climbing the corporate ladder in engineering, Krystal left the traditional workforce to build 4 businesses. Today, she runs a 7-figure co-working and flex retail space in Tucson, Arizona, and has launched Futurpreneur to help kids turn their creativity and tech skills into successful ventures. Welcome to the show, Krystal.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be on with you this morning. How are you
Krystal,
guys?
we're doing great.
Excellent.
My first question off the gate. 3 kids, multiple businesses. Did you need to have another idea? Are you the idea person, or is your husband the idea person and you're the executor? That's what I really want to know.
No, my amazing husband, but he's the stability and I'm the crazy one, right? So I know, did I need to add something? But it was, when you see a need in the market, and I'm a mom of 3 kids and I just believe in entrepreneurship so much. You guys do as well, obviously. But we come up with an idea and it's like, no one's doing this right. No one's serving our kids in the entrepreneur space, especially the young kids. There's a lot of stuff for, high school kids out there. And so here we are. We launched Futurpreneur in January. And it's going so well.
Define the entrepreneur space, because it can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. And for me, entrepreneurship, when I first started out, is a person who makes enough money to pay for their mistakes. I mean, and then when you get past that hurdle, it's like, okay, I've got to figure something out. But to me, it's more of a mindset, and it's more of skills and habits and a way of being a steward of your money. I think that's the way I look at entrepreneurship, at least for young people.
For me, it's following your passion and knowing that any passion, and I truly believe this with every ounce of my being, any passion you have can be turned into a successful business, right? There are skateboard companies out there where skateboarders invented something and now they're making multi-millions and they just love skateboarding. So any passion you have, you can follow it into a business and make it profitable. And I truly believe that. I think people are scared. Right. So they're scared of that. And I never knock a job. Right. In fact, sometimes I'm jealous when they go home Friday at 5 and then they don't have to think about it till Monday morning. So if you love your job, and there's lots of people that do, amazing. But if you are miserable, like I was when I was in my 20s and working in the corporate engineering world, I'm grateful that I had a mom that said, go do something on your own. What do you want to do? Right. So I want to give that gift to every kid out there.
Tell us about the company, what you do, who you serve. Tell us about it. We
serve kids between 5 and 16. We really have 3 different levels, but we provide business plans for kids. So for those of you that are on YouTube, I'm holding up kind of one of our business plans that we ship in the box, but we send a business in a box. So with that, they get a business plan, and the business plan will go through how to create that different type of business. I just started a dog walking company, right? So we have several different types of business they can choose from, but this goes through the process of business planning, defining your competitive advantage, pricing your service, right? Let's make sure we're profitable. What's your revenue potential? How many clients do you need to get to make the money you want to make? Branding and marketing, all the way through the sales process. So every business will specialize and kind of teach them different types of skills, but it walks them through opening their own small mini business. And
I love that.
Krystal, I got some news for you here. Okay, I'm going to play a little bit of humor here. But you should possibly send that to the Harvard Business School, because they're not teaching that there. They're teaching all other crap. They're teaching all other ideologies. But what you just mentioned there, and I'm being a little facetious, but I'm really not.
I get it.
Because when you go to college and when you start a business, most people don't understand all of the different systems and processes. And I'm sure your company makes it gamifiable, makes it enjoyable for children, because that's the difference. So then an adult who's struggling and saying, how do I teach my kids? That's the challenge that we have as educators and as parents. How do we make it enjoyable and entertaining? So can you just go through that a little bit about your sheets? Because I think that's where the disconnect is in the marketplace.
Yeah, 100%. And I love that you use this word gamification. We do have video modules. So if you're a busy parent and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I have time to do this with my child, we have teens on video teaching your kids. So they'll walk your kids through the business if you need that help, right? If you need that video. But I always tell parents, be that one to do it with them, right? Your kids, 5 years goes by like this, and your kids are going to grow. Carve out that time to do it with them. However, it is fun. My kids were beta testers, of course, and every kid's different. So like my oldest daughter, she's thriving in her t-shirt company. We have a t-shirt design business, right? Just thriving. She created the cutest t-shirts. She loves selling it. She talks about it all the time, and she's making money in it. My youngest daughter, she just wanted to open a restaurant, right? So we have opened a little pizzeria. So we have, every kid's different. But I think the important thing that colleges, to go back around to colleges, that colleges aren't teaching, is you've got to have some grit. So you want to gamify stuff, but we might be, just throw this out there, gamifying too much. Yeah. We might be, because now we need that quick dopamine hit, and they want to win, and they want an instant gratification, right? And so we might be tilting too much into gamification, where we need to pull it back and say, yeah, we're going to have fun, but there's some grit involved a little bit. And nothing you do in life is going to be successful without that little grit. So it's a balance between the two for sure. But these are so fun. Your kid will surprise you. Order a couple businesses for the summer, open it up, do it with it. You will be shocked how amazing these little kids are, right? So
yeah. I love this idea. What an incredible idea. And I'm picturing it as you're talking, I'm picturing each one of my kids having something so unique, and maybe we don't even know. And I think that's the excitement, because you learn a lot about your children. I mean, so here's a little back. We always homeschooled our kids. We have from 10 to 20, 25. So we know a lot about them. And they obviously live with my husband. So, Mr. Entrepreneur, our oldest daughter, recently, she's like, Ma, thank you so much for raising me as an entrepreneur. She says, she's like, I love the fact that, you're never not working. Like you said, if you want a 9 to 5, I know a lot of people like that. They just need the 9 to 5. They need to go home. And that's awesome, because we need you. We need you in the world. But there's a lot of us out there that we just have these ideas and we have these passions, and we want to share them with the world, right? But even if you're a 9 to 5er and you want your kids to just open their mind a little bit and see what their interests are, this is a great idea for them. So I absolutely love what you're doing.
Yeah, and teachers. So let's back to the school system. And I could talk all day down this rabbit hole, but we're not producing people that can stand on their own 2 feet at the end of 4-year college, right? In fact, we're creating sometimes advocates, and they go in advocacy in several different awkward directions. So, but I don't blame the teachers to teach entrepreneurship. How does a teacher who's never probably started a business really teach those skills of a business? So that's really up to us as parents to teach that. And that's why we're here.
So it's interesting. We have a symbiotic relationship between what we do at Barbaro 360 and what you do, Krystal, because what you're doing is you're starting the conversation. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to capture people with money coaching. And money coaching is a really underutilized, underserved part of what I think every single person needs, because we all have certain ways we grew up with money, our money traumas, and we bring it into our adulthood. And some of you may be on here saying, I could never be an entrepreneur. I could never teach my kids. Well, hello, that's your trauma, and that's your beliefs and your patterns that you've developed as a child into the adulthood. So what you're doing is amazing. And I love it, because you're starting the conversation between the parents and the children. And you may get these questions, and it's very hard for parents, because you can't open a restaurant. I own a restaurant. You can't open a restaurant.
When you said restaurant, I was like, we got some triggers here.
It's very interesting. But I've learned to let go. And I think that the coaching aspect of it and the relationship that you as a parent has, you have to start looking at that and start seeing what kind of beliefs or limitations you have, because you may say to yourself, there's no way we don't open a business in our family. That doesn't happen. And then and there, you may want to, but you're sort of sabotaging yourself by those beliefs or by those patterns. So if you start out your children and start that conversation with your kids, I think that's so important. Even if they never open up a business or the family is just starting that conversation and seeing where that leads.
That open-ended conversation, and you're right, I would never open a restaurant. Good for you. I actually own a bar, but it's like inside our retail space. We sell retail space at a low cost, no risk, very low risk retail space for entrepreneurs that are makers. And we have a bar in it to create the atmosphere. And I always say, I never wanted to own a bar. What am I doing? But it's a tough business. You know, little kids love bake shops and lemonade stands and stuff. So we got it all. But yeah, the conversation starts by open-ended conversations, right? So if you're going to start dabbing with entrepreneurship in your kid, whether you're an entrepreneur or not, and I'll tell you, part of me creating this is I volunteered at Junior Achievement. Have you guys ever heard of Junior Achievement? Where they go into the classrooms, and they teach interview skills and entrepreneurship a little bit, but they spend one day, I volunteered there. I spent one day with a 5th grade class, but they usually are in underserved communities, right? So I'm in there, and the questions I was getting, like from these kids, like, are you a millionaire? Wait, are you the boss? And they're like, my aunt owns a hair salon. And I just knew right then, none of these kids in here probably have entrepreneur parents.
Yeah.
And how do I create something that even these kids can use, right? That's we added the video modules right then. I'm like, we need now parents to be able to be like, even though I wasn't, I want that for my kids. So let's teach them. And starting that conversation early, you know this, but with little kids, 5 to 12, it's open-ended conversations. If you were going to even open a restaurant, what would it be? What would it be named? What kind of food would you serve? If you were going to build something, right? We have a builder challenge where they build a doghouse or a birdhouse, and then they learn the trades a little bit, right? What did you like most? Do you like the painting? Do you like the figuring it out? Do you like the architect? Do you like designing it? And just asking those open-ended questions, you'll be surprised to see. We have conversations cards that kind of starts that conversation. But everyone teaches money. Every one of them teaches money. You buy your challenge. I tell parents we have a mentor guide. After you buy them their first one, they're not expensive, right? They're business in a box. Have them make money on that, and then have them buy their own next one. Right? Yeah. Teach them that. So it's so important. It's so important. Where the kids graduating today, and I have some nieces that are that age, they're living at home.
There's a disconnect between money now and business, and it's almost sometimes being vilified. But if you can shed it and show it into a positive light of, hey, you're not going in business to make money. You're going in business to provide value for your customer. You're flipping it on its head. And the more value you provide for your customer, the more money you make. If you can teach a child that, or an adult, even an adult that, because it took me years to realize that, because I opened the restaurant to provide for the family. And that's not really the reason why you open a business. You open a business to provide for the consumer, for the customer, for the marketplace. And if you can start understanding that, and you let children now in Gen Z understand that, they'll start going into the marketplace and seeing where they're good. If they're an artist, maybe they go into something artistic. If they're in woodshop and they like building, maybe they go into something where they're going to build. If they like websites, they go into websites and they start building and providing value. And then all of a sudden, wow, better I'm at, the more money I'll make. But that's not where they're doing it. They're doing it to provide value. And if you can make that connection, and the neural pathways in the brain and the neuroplasticity starts creating those neurons at a young age, that's why it's important what you're doing, because you're creating these patterns and these behaviors and these beliefs at a young age. And that changes everything. That changes the complete trajectory of a child and the family.
Yeah. I was testing some on my cousin's kids. And it is interesting, because the first sale they make, and they realize someone valued what they created, like they light up. Like, I created this and someone wants it. One gal, a testimony I just heard, she started this little business where people send in a picture, right? So she followed our art one. People send in a picture and she recreates that picture, and she's really good with like colored pencils. I mean, it's incredible what she does. But someone bought it for $200 of their dogs that had passed away.
Wow.
And just that she created that and someone valued it, and they're framing it in their house, that is magical. And as parents,
that's life-changing. I want to just stop you for a second and let people understand that you've changed that child forever. Their
Mhm.
self-esteem just
Mhm.
explodes, right? They feel more
Mhm.
worthy, and you've
Mhm.
created a money memory for them that will
Mhm.
actually be so healthy because they're like, you know what? I created something, I brought it
Yeah.
to the marketplace. Somebody really
Mhm.
enjoyed it and thought that it was worth this much, and then they made that connection, and that's something that's priceless. That's something that whether
Mhm.
you make money with your company or not, that's not the point. The more of those memories you make, the more money you'll make, but you're impacting so many people by doing that.
100%. I feel like this is actually my sixth company starting. Two of them failed, which happens, right? But this company, I'm in a good space starting this company because I don't need the money from it, right? I have stability in my life. And so I'm doing just that. I'm doing just that where I'm like, how do I make these more valuable for the kids? I only want these for the kids and their parents so bad. It's the best place to come from when you start a business. And I wish I would have known that when I started my first one, right? So
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I give you credit for trying again and again, because
Thank
I
you.
think a lot of us, we fail, we feel dumb, whatever it is. And we're like, okay, I'm going
Yep.
to go back to my 9 to 5. Krystal, what do you say to the parents? Because, maybe their parents are not the entrepreneurs and they are so set on, which all of it is good. I just want to be clear that
Yeah.
I'm going to be, all of this is good. Get really good grades, get to a really nice school that you can get a
Yeah.
good job with benefits and all that and go down that path.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like just that's the norm. And that's
Yep.
what parents are used to. And they feel like if their kids are entrepreneurs or looking into stuff like this, that, oh, maybe they're not good at school. Do you know what I mean? Like there's that conversation I hear quite often amongst the women that I
Yeah.
know. So what do you say
Yeah.
to that?
Yeah. I say, how blunt do I want to be? I did
Be
the school
open.
thing.
I think it's good.
I went to engineering college, right?
Mhm.
And I worked in the engineering corporate world and I worked my butt off for 6 years. Great company. I was miserable. I was
Soul sucked.
miserable. I soul sucked. And there was a point in time and I'm in a meeting and it's a whole department meeting and there's like 20, 25 people in there. And I'm 6 years in and I look at the people running this meeting and I'm climbing the ladder. I want to be them, in my head. And I'm like, one is going through a divorce. The other one's working 80 hours a week. Like they're not meeting their goals. This was a not happy meeting. And I'm looking around, I'm like, no one's happy here. What am I doing? And so for those parents, you may love your job and stability is something, right? And that's okay, right? So when I was in that soul sucking job, that's when I started my first company. It was around what I was doing. So if you want to teach security to your kids and you want them to go through the system, go to college, get that job interview, right? That is the system. Entrepreneurship can only add value. First of all, I have employees. I love them. I treat them well. My best employees have run a business before. They've been entrepreneurs. They're my best employees. So entrepreneur skills is not just for the entrepreneur. It's
Mhm.
for everyone that wants to bring value to a company. So I say give them options. Give them options. But I have one kid that just really excels academia wise. All your kids have different strengths, right? But one of them really excels academia wise and it just comes so easy for her. I wish it came easy for everyone, right? But it doesn't. But I still want entrepreneurship for her. I still want it. She may go get a job and get some stability early, but I want entrepreneurship for her because I know the life that it can bring to you.
It sounds like too is that you mentioned your daughter. It sounds like you're just opening their eyes a little bit. It sounds like you're just opening people's eyes. Oh, this is
Mhm.
another path. And even if you do go work in corporate, you still have that idea of, oh, I could also do this if I'm not happy here. And it's not brand new. And it's not, you know what I mean? So I love that is that it's an option. It's another
Money, right? Everyone
yeah,
needs to learn money. So have
absolutely.
you guys read the book Value Creation Kid, Scott Donnell?
No,
Oh, it's a
no,
great book.
no, I've not. Yeah, no, he's got a big. Yeah, I've got to get that book. That's a great book. Thank you. Say that again.
Value Creation Kid. You would love that because he teaches, he doesn't give allowance, right? You're part of an ecosystem. So you've got to do we all know this. You do your own, clean your own room. I'm not paying you for that, right? That's your room.
Right.
That's part of what you do for this family. But he talks about gigs and paying for gigs. And then he has his kids buy their own birthday present for their friends, right? So he teaches that money really early. And whether someone's going to be an entrepreneur or not, learning value creation, learning that skill early, which is what also Futurpreneur does, is a building block we've got to teach. Yeah, it's a good way to do it.
I want to circle back on 2 points because the first point was about the college. We were just on a call the other day. We had our monthly call, and we were talking about college, and we were talking about our money bios. And one of the people on the call was talking about when she was going to college, she wanted to become a vet. Her parents completely dissuaded her on it. And she was really annoyed. And to this day, you can see the emotion. And now she's having that conversation.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Have the conversation with their children. So I think this generation has a much better job at listening to our kids and saying, if you want to be a vet, how do we make that happen? I know it's going to be expensive. I know it's going to take a lot of years. There's the pros and there's the cons. Let's make this decision together. And I think that's what's important. I think children have to be able to hear the no as well. But at the same time, there's got to be some kind of realistic expectations. Maybe you take off school for a couple of years, save some money, and then go to vet school or work at a veterinarian's hospital or a doctor's or a vet's office and see if that's what you want. I think that's really important, that us as parents have to not really impose our will, but let them go down the road. And the second thing about entrepreneurial skills, which is really important, is even if you are in the W-2 world, you still need leadership skills. You still need budgeting. You're still a CFO. You still need to know how to market yourself. You still need to know communication skills. You still need to know negotiation skills. These are all the skills that comprise sales skills, all the skills that comprise what an entrepreneur does. And if you can learn that, and you work at your W-2, maybe you don't work 40 hours a week, maybe you work 50, but you're going to get compensated in direct proportion to all those skills that you have. And if you can amplify those skills to an employer, number one, they're not going to fire you. Number two, they're going to pay you a lot more. And number three, you're going to love your job. Let's not say W-2 versus entrepreneur. Let's just say that this is really skills set for life, and you decide the path you take.
Exactly.
Does that make sense?
Exactly. Absolutely. And like I said, we need doctors, right? We need hospital staff. But again, my best employees have owned their own business. So understanding what it takes to run a business, you're going to be of more value to your employer, and you're going to get recognized for it. Yeah.
You're going to have more empathy for your employer because you're like, wow, it's really hard running a business. There's a lot. And at the same time, as an entrepreneur, you're going to have more empathy for your employees because you know how hard the job is. It's a lot of work, a lot of pressure. So at the same time, it's like a give and take on both sides. That just popped into my head. I'm like, wow. I like that.
I think we forget that is that if you are an entrepreneur, you have people working for you.
Yes.
And so so you made an excellent point is that all of us should have these skills.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, if you have children, order these kits because they're amazing. I mean, I'm very excited to get them. Actually.
Thank you. Okay. The hardest thing. So it's my first e-commerce company. So figuring out e-commerce is, that's, and I knew that was the challenge, and I was excited for it.
Being an entrepreneur, not even just an entrepreneur, but you're a mother, and there's a role there that what are the struggles that you face?
Yeah, I think balance is always a thing, and it's a talking point. And I'll tell just all you mom entrepreneurs out there, you never quite get it 100%, right? You don't figure it out. Not every day is balanced, but there's two things that I do that I think have really changed the way I live, that has brought really peace into my life, because I'm that type of person that's very driven. So I can get overwhelmed because I put way too much on my plate, and I love to do charity work and all the things. So I live by these two things. The first one is if it's not a yes, if it's not a heck yes, it's a no. Right. So someone asked me whether it's a social event for a birthday party for our neighbor, or it's a be on the board of this charity this year. Right. If I'm not so excited to do it and be there, it's a no. I have to can't wait to do this, or it's not on my plate. So if it's not a heck yes, it's a no. Okay. So that's number one. Number two, I know myself well enough, and you're going to know your boundaries, but I know myself well enough that if I spend too much time working, I have mom guilt, and it's bad. Right. And I feel disconnected, and I want to cry at night. And so I know that's me. So if I can get 5 hours of work time in a day, that's my number. Right. So if I can figure out 5, and not every day do I get a full 5 in, because especially in May, it's pretty busy in May with kid stuff. But if I can get 5 solid hours of focused work, I feel fulfilled that my business is moving forward, but I haven't ignored my kids. And there's some days I can get more, and there's some days that are less, but I strive for that. So those are the two things I really live by, that's really brought peace into my life and allowed me to move forward in both avenues. So I feel like I'm doing well in both.
Those are such good. Thank you. Because that you just helped me out. I love what you just said. You've just helped a lot of people out.
Yeah. Say no.
They're very clear and simple decisions to make. I love the yes one, because a lot of times we're like, oh yeah, that's fine. We could do that.
No, it's not yuck. It's heck yes.
You know what I'm saying? Well, that's what I mean. And that's it's not okay. Love that. And then the 5 hours, because same with homeschooling. Sometimes for years I felt guilty. I'm like, oh, there's not enough.
But ladies, your 5 hours, suffice it to say, is probably 12 of the other person. So when you say 5, you're doing 5. You're not doing laundry. You're not watching TV. You're not watching YouTube videos. You're not going through the gram and looking at videos. You're putting your head down. Like you are literally doing the work.
Yeah.
And people don't understand that. Like that's 5 like solid hours of work.
Yeah.
Exactly. There's a big difference.
Crazy get done. Julia, do you remember before kids like thinking you were busy? Like I thought I was busy.
Oh my goodness, you're kidding me. Yeah, please. I mean, now that my kids are a little older, I mean, beauty of this, one of our daughters loves cooking. And so I like, look at all this time I have. She's making lunch right now as we're talking. And I'm just,
she makes this sourdough bread.
I feel
This
so
sourdough
free.
is amazing.
I'm like, what am I going to do with this time now? And so I'm kind of in a weird area where I'm like, I kind of like it. I kind of like just sitting, watching everyone do work.
Yeah.
But yes, I know it's so different. And I just encourage everyone, just, be where you are. If you have little babies,
have grace.
it's different than where me and Krystal are right now, because we try to do a lot of things when we had little babies, and there are moments where I couldn't even leave the room. You know what I mean? So be where you are. It's okay where you are. So I love what you're saying though, but I love those 2 points. So I know everyone's taking that away is 5 hours and the heck yes.
Krystal, I've lost money on real estate deals. You've lost money on businesses. How do you toughen up children? How do you give them more resilience to look at those failures as not just failures, but as maybe possibly opportunities to learn from those failures?
Yeah. I mean, number one, you can't be superwoman to your parents all the time, right? So you got to show them that you failed, right? I mean, I remember closing a space downtown. I mean, we lost so much money on that. We signed a deal, a real estate deal pre-COVID for my first co-working space, and we were built out. I had to open it in January of 2021. I couldn't keep it closed. Like I just bleeding money, we're like at the end of COVID, I'm like, come co-work, have an event. So it was hard. And so they got to see that, like, remember mommy had that business, it didn't go well. But then they watched my wins. So you don't have to be superwoman all the time. Share your failures. It's okay, right? They're proud of you anyways. And Futurpreneur is something that it builds is failures okay, right? So they're going to do some of these, businesses, or we call them challenges, but you're going to start a new one. It's not going to go well, right? You might create a piece of art and it doesn't sell, and that's okay. And as a parent and as a mentor, it's in our mentor guide. It's like celebrate the small steps and celebrate the end anyways, but don't let them quit. When they start one, they need to finish it, see it through, because you're creating that muscle also of we're going to finish what we start, but it's okay to fail and start the next one. So, but pivoting all the time, you've had real estate deals that have gone sour, but that made you have real estate deals because you were willing to risk it. It made you have real estate deals that went crazy great, right? So that's the process. And that's when we want to start teaching at 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, is that's okay.
And that's something that's vital with your company. I'm sorry, before you ask the next question, this is what's truly vital is you're playing and you're showing kids that it's okay to make a mistake, to fail. Whereas in school, the person with the highest average or the highest grade who doesn't make mistakes does really well. But in reality and in the real world, that's not how it is. Because if you're always playing it safe and you're always not trying to take risk, I mean, life gets to be pretty boring and pretty unfulfilling. So that's really, really important with what you're sharing as well.
Yeah. And it's in a safe environment, you guys. It's going to break your heart. But I have one kid that struggles a little bit in school, and they hand the tests back in school. We're switching schools next year with her. She's going to a Montessori school, and this is the reason. Her confidence has just plummeted this year because they hand tests back, and she comes home and she said, Mommy, I got a 71 on my, science test or whatever. But blah, 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 to me got a 92. And so she thinks she's not smart because she didn't do well on that one test, right? And I watched it spiral this year. And I'm like, we're going to finish the school year out. I helped her. I said, grades don't matter. Effort matters, right? No big deal. You are, and I've just been feeding her, and she's come a long way. But we're going to go to a Montessori because I think it's the best thing for her, where they don't compare you to others. They build up your strengths. So you can crush a kid's confidence very easily. And it's not fair. It's not fair because she's wonderful.
Right. And she has so many talents and gifts that the school isn't bringing out of her. They don't see them. And that's why we're not, we can have a whole conversation about school and how it does deflate a person. But I agree with you. And I think that, our kids never went to school. They went to college, some of them, but a couple of them, there are moments where I'm like, I'm so thankful that they weren't in school because of whatever the subject was. They had no interest and they struggled with it, whether it's math or science or, reading, which took a little longer, and they're going to put the label on you and they're going to crush the kids. I mean, it happened to me in school, and I think that's why I'm very protective when it comes to our children, because I think, but I love that you noticed it and you're doing something about it. Because I think a lot of parents are like, well, what are you going to do? That's the way it is. But thank you for doing something.
And I talked to other parents, and no joke, the answer for some of them were, well, go have her tested for ADD or ADHD.
Exactly.
Because then they'll give her
forever.
And then it's okay if she doesn't get the homework done in time. And I'm like, absolutely not doing that.
So this is challenging. This is challenging because this is parents. We think that if our child's failing, it's a reflection on us. And that's the thing. So you put a label on them, hey, but that's not how it is. Like you said, we have a child who I just can't believe how incredibly amazing she's in school. I mean, she just blows everything away.
And a lot of us, she's the number 5. So she's literally 14.
Yeah.
She's 14 years old, and she was doing math that my son was like, I just did this in college. Like, how do you know how to do this? And so the conversation is like, wow, that's amazing. Isn't it amazing how Cecilia just picks things up? I'm like, I don't know how to do it. I've never learned that. And like, what a gift she has. And so I think in the home, because the home is our safe area where we should teach each other, like praise the person in a way where it's not comparing the person. Not, well, Veronica, why didn't you know how to do that? I think that's where we get caught as parents because we're afraid somebody will find out that they don't know something.
This happened this year because my second is the one that's really math strong.
Yes.
And she's, I'm asking the first one some questions about the test, and the second one just chimes in with the answer, and she's in first grade. And I'm like, and so I had to have a conversation with each of them, right? Separately. And my oldest one, my thing was, how golf and soccer, they just come easy for you. Like instantly they put her on the golf team with the 13-year-olds. Right. And it doesn't come easy for, your sister, your younger sister. She has trouble connecting with the ball. She doesn't do very well. But those things come easy for you. God gave you those gifts, right?
Exactly.
And
100%.
you're going to do really well with the gifts that God gave you. And he gave you those gifts for a reason. And your sister just has different God-given gifts, right? But we love them both. And we're proud of both of our siblings, right? You're proud of your sister. So, you got to teach that.
That's awesome.
You have to have those conversations.
Yes,
I'm shifting gears because I want to know, Krystal.
Her about her marriage and her husband and all the support. That's what I wanted to know. I know yours is.
I see something here about AI, because I think AI is, everyone's getting scared about AI, and I'm starting to learn how to adopt it into my business. And I think it's just a tool. Maybe in the near future it may change. I don't think it's going to replace certain industries, but I think if people learn how to use it. How do you see entrepreneurs using AI?
I mean, I think kids, teenagers, and people in college right now have the best advantage to build something incredible because of AI. So I'm not scared of it at this point. And I just thought about this recently, is like how many lawyer fees have you paid since you started a business, right? My lawyer fees are through the roof, but there's certain things that AI can give you that's just as good, right? So if I'm a lawyer, I'm nervous about AI because some people are going to get this disclosure or whatever that I need crafted for me, and I don't have to pay $500 for it. I could just have AI create it for me. So I think as a kid, a young entrepreneur, they're going to use those tools very wisely, and they have the best chance of making it as a business owner today because of AI. I truly believe that. In fact, I don't know if you guys listen to Joe Rogan, but I was one of the recent podcasts, the guy was talking about how he's a programmer, and this related to me because I used to develop software at this company. And then I got into sales, and I'm like, now I couldn't go code. And then I listened to this podcast, because you're so far behind, but I listened to this podcast, and he's like, but I have the framework. AI spits out the code, right? So if you just logically understand it, AI is coding for you, which is crazy. You can build software and not have to get into the details of the language. So I think kids have the best opportunity to really start a business. And let's just not say kids. Anybody this day has the best opportunity right now than they've ever had if they have a passion and want to start a business, because the tools are there. They're less expensive, and the internet is so wide. You can find your audience, right? So yeah.
No, I'm with you. I like your answer on that, because I think a lot of times we're afraid and we don't want to use it. We don't know a lot of things, but it's one of those things. It's like back in the day when computers came out, when the internet came out, like all of those things, like learn this. Everyone should learn it and not be afraid of it. Just, I don't know. There's so much stuff. The
other edge of the sword is there are going to be things that go away. So your industry, if you love an industry, you've got to figure a way to make yourself special that AI can't replace you, right? Is it your experience? Is it your niche? Is it your personal connection? I don't think personal connection will ever go away. Hospitality won't ever go away. But how do you make sure AI doesn't replace you? Now's the time to start thinking about this, no matter what you do for a living.
Agreed.
And that's why small businesses and service-based businesses will never go away. And that's why maybe not go into AI, but maybe become a plumber or an electrician or own a little small business, because they will not be replaced. Dry cleaner, the list goes on and on. Hair salon, whatever that looks like.
Krystal's company is bringing out what are my gifts? Can I do? What do I love to do? My passions, and bring that to life. Okay, before I was interrupted about the AI.
AI is important. I'm sorry.
Important, but this is more important. My question. I want to know about your marriage and your sweet husband and what it's like for him. What is his view?
I feel his pain.
I know you do.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, he's so patient. It's so funny, the different minds. Just last week, he's swimming pool designer. So he designs and sells swimming pools.
Let me ask you,
started the company.
Do you have a beautiful pool?
We have a beautiful pool.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
I wanted to make sure.
Beautiful pool. Yeah. It's gorgeous. And my mom started the company like 25, 30 years ago. So I watched her as a woman in the construction world, which was very unique. And my husband, once we got married, he started designing, and he's a top salesman in Tucson. I'm not just saying that because he's my husband. He's really good at what he does, but it's been very stable. It's a good income, but it's a very stable income. And he's just not the risk taker, right? He could see a backyard before it's there, right? So he's a visionary. And last week or a couple weeks ago, he hasn't had any sales, and he starts panicking about money, and I'm spending money trying to market this thing, and he's like starts panicking, and he spends 4 days kind of sulking about how he hasn't sold a pool in 4 days. And I'm like, the difference between a woman's mind and a man's mind, I don't have 4 days to sulk. Like, I'm like, did I enroll Corinne in kindergarten next year? Did I think about it, or did I do it? Right? Like, do we have the dance shoes? Do they need brown dance shoes? Do they need black dance shoes? What, like we have 2 birthday parties next week. Did I order the birthday presents for the birthday parties? Like, I don't have time to sulk in it. And that's kind of like, it's hard as a mom, but it's also a gift, because I can't sit there and worry. Right. But he's the stability. But he lifts me up. He said, Krystal, I know what you're doing is going to be a huge success. I know you're going to touch a bunch of people. He's going to support me in any way he can. He has never once, and I've opened business, and he's just always said, I think you're going to do bigger things than you think you're going to do. Like, the world hasn't seen you yet. Like, he is the most amazing, and he knows balance. I had the podcast this morning, so he took the kids to school, and he's amazing. A parent, I tell people, if they haven't gotten married yet, like, you've got to get rock solid before you have kids. You got to get on the same team before you have kids, because kids throw a wrench in it. You don't have as much time for intimacy, right? That brings you together. You don't have as much time for those conversations at dinner where it's all kid involved. And I feel like every time I talk to him, it's about schedule.
Sure.
I'm like, are you picking up? Am I picking up? Are you doing this? Are you taking it? Right. And so you can lose your marriage very quickly. So it was very important to, especially after the third kid, after COVID. He worked a lot during COVID times in the pool. And after that, I said, we got to do weekend trips. Like, we got to reconnect. And we did. We just went to, I was away from my kids the longest I've ever been. We went to Bali for our 10-year anniversary. And it was 8 days of him and I couldn't wait to get home because I miss my kids so much. But it was such a reconnect time. And my kids are fine. Your kids are fine. You've got to reconnect with your spouse.
Agreed. I love that. I think that was our big mistake early on. I feel like we've connected later on.
Yeah.
And so if you're in that situation where it's like, oh my gosh, it's too late. It is not too late. It is never too late to reconnect. So I just want to put that out there. But I love that you did that, because I think we get lost in our family life. We get lost in our children because they do need us. They're all the time. They don't, it's not like we get a break and we check out.
And you have to forget your husband needs you
Yes,
too. And
100%.
I get into that where I'm like, I have people around me all the time that my husband, he was not on my priority list for a little bit. And I'm breastfeeding, and I'm like, don't touch me,
I know.
at the end of the day. So it's like, we need that cuddle time. We need that reconnection time, and he needs it, right? And I know my husband well enough to know that he needs time with just me, and where the kids aren't taking all of me. And so as a mom, you can very easily brush that aside, but your husband needs you too. So, but husbands, give us grace when the kids are young, because
I would just say, go listen to the 5 love languages that we've recorded with Dr. Gary Chapman. It's a great podcast. that's
Okay.
it's a good way to connect with your spouse and
Yeah.
to see what their love language is. I think that's true.
Yeah.
It's a good help for sure, especially a starter if you're not sure.
Krystal,
Yeah.
before we sign off,
Yeah.
where do you see the future of Futurpreneur? Where do you see the company going? What would you like to see the vision of the company?
Yeah, I mean, right now we have 6 businesses on there and we've got 6 in the works, right? But I want to make sure they're good before we put them out. But we'd like 20 different types of businesses so we can see the different types of skills, 20 to 24. And then I want to do events. We're going to do our first event this fall. And I think events are important. Have you guys ever done network marketing? You ever dabbled in it? Yeah. So yeah, it's hard, but it's how it got me out of engineering. I went all in on a company and I made money. I knew it wasn't for most people and I knew I couldn't have kids and still do well in it because I was feeding my team. Right. And so, but the one thing events gave me is I was in a room 4 times a year with people that were dreaming big. Most of them love God, most of them are faith driven. And you're in a room of complete inspiration for 3 or 4 days. And you leave that network marketing event feeling and I want that for my kids. And so we're going to create a Futurpreneur event where kids are immersed and teen or young entrepreneurs are on stage given their testimony. We're talking to kids about you can do anything. And we just want that energy in that room for kids. So we'll do events very soon and then competitions, we'll create a software package where we can gamify more. And so I'm a software developer. So that's in the work. We're probably about 1.5 years out, maybe 2 years from that. But it'll be a safe platform where kids can sell their stuff online. And it'll have my Futurpreneur, might be animated characters walking them through the business. So it'll eventually go online as well if they want that. If they don't want screen time, you can forward the booklets and then these events 4 times a year. So if you know any young entrepreneurs that want to speak at events, they have a good story. We need more of those.
I love that you include your kids in it. I think you've solved that problem of being away for so long without your children. It is a big stress, but to involve the children, I mean, that's incredible.
Where can the listeners get a hold of you and find out more about the company?
Yeah, we're futurpreneur.com or futurpreneur.us on social media, but we have a gift for everyone that listened to this podcast. It's teachyourkidstodream.com. And that page doesn't sell you anything. It is just free stuff. And it's really the first steps in visualization, in opening conversations, in confidence builders. There's four gifts that we give. So Teach Your Kids to Dream is a start and a gift from us to you. So go and download those tools and just start there with your kids.
Awesome.
Amazing.
Yeah.
We want to thank you for being on. And for anybody listening, I know you're all busy, moms out there, doing business, spending time with the kids, arguing with the husbands and all that stuff. There's so much to do throughout the day. To spend a little bit of time with us. We know how precious it is. And we really want to thank you for listening to the podcast. And I think this is such an important topic. Whether you want to become an entrepreneur or you don't, the skills needed to become an entrepreneur are universal. You need those skills to be successful in life. And I love what Futurpreneur is doing. And the website once again is teachyourkidstodream.com. Once again, thanks again, Krystal, for being on the show. And we will see you all on the next Julie and Gino podcast. Thanks, everyone.